Hello everybody, my name is Maher, and when I see a recognizable brand, I clap. For those who don't know, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers is a 2022 animated movie based on a Saturday morning cartoon of the same name. However, this movie is set in a Roger Rabbit type universe, where the Rescue Rangers show was just that, a show. And Chip and Dale are actors, and they live in the real world, where toons and humans coexist. A lot of people are mixed on this movie, mainly the people who grew up on the original Rescue Rangers, and thought that this movie was just a bad cash grab filled with pointless references and shoved Chip and Dale in for profit. Now, I never watched the original show, so I have zero bias on the show and Chip and Dale in general, so I feel like I'm the best person to critique this without letting any nostalgia get in the way. Now, let's get into the plot. So the plot is relatively pretty simple. Chip and Dale haven't talked to each other since the original Rescue Rangers show was cancelled. However, they are forced to team up again after Monterey Jack, one of the members of the original show, got kidnapped. Apparently, a lot of toons are being kidnapped and being changed physically to avoid copyright, and then they were shipped overseas to create low-budget bootleg films, all being done by Peter Pan, who is now a 30-year-old whose career fell apart after he was no longer a child. Chip and Dale managed to escape Peter, however, and go and tell the police, who's been doing an ongoing investigation of the whole whereabouts of the missing toons. Ending up, Chip gets kidnapped, however, saved by Dale and this human girl, who is part of the police, before Chip gets bootlegged. But in a plot twist, it is revealed that the main detective, who was this Clay guy, was working with Peter Pan this whole time. You guys don't care about spoilers, right? This is Chip and Dale. Anyway, ending up, Chip and Dale defeat Peter Pan and the detective guy, and they save all the toons, and Chip and Dale become Hollywood stars and get a reboot. And that was Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2022. Now, let's talk about— oh god! Yeah, before we talk about the pros, let's talk about the animation real quick. So, this movie is a hybrid film of 2D and 3D. Well, technically it's 3D and 2.5D. It looks bad. This is by far my biggest problem with this movie, and it's the way how 2D animation is handled. Basically, any main character who is 2D like Chip is actually CGI, with cell shaders to make them appear 2D. And at that point, just use 2D. The background characters are regular 2D, so I don't see why the main characters are 2.5D. This is very weird, like random toons are 2D, while other ones are 2.5D, and it looks very bad. And it would be fine if they could express, but they really can't. Chip is less expressive than Dale, who had CGI surgery to become CG, and usually CGI isn't that expressive, so at that point, why? Now the CGI characters, oh, they're fine. Some toons are purposely trying to replicate that 2000s animation style with the CGI characters, where they purposely look bad. So I don't know if I should give them a pass or not that it looks bad, since that is what they're aiming for. However, the 2D that's actually 2D and not 2.5D looks really good. I like how Loomer looks, or the other 2D references, which I will get into later. And some of the CGI that's supposed to look good looks really good, like on Dale. Also, they teased Darwin Duck, and I really want a sequel with him, but if they have to make him 2.5D, then forget it. I know, that's all I really have to say. On to the pros! Now, I feel like the biggest pro to this movie is the actual story. If you're gonna go back to the Roger Rabbit universe, then you better have a good idea. And this movie does have a good idea. It makes it interesting to watch, and I never got bored while watching the movie. I did find Chip and Dale's real voices weird,
considering how most toons kept the original cartoony voices,
but it kinda suits them here. I also like how Peter Pan was portrayed. Him studying as a child actor who lost his career when he stopped being a child acted as a lot in the industry, and I'm glad that a movie finally tackled it. Also, while I despise the use of 2.5D animation for the 2D characters, the toons that are traditionally animated look amazing. I love how they look. They are way more expressive than any other CG or 2.5D toons. I also like the detective part of this movie. It's so fun to watch him piece clues and find out who did it. I was also surprised by the amount of references to other cartoon characters from other properties. When I first saw the trailer, I thought it was only going to be Disney characters, and Disney would just flex all their IPs, but no! There are Warner Brothers characters, Viacom characters, whoever owns He-Man, and surprisingly DreamWorks. I see some people complaining about the references, saying that they're meant to be nostalgia pandering, but to be honest, I don't see it. Space Jam 2 was nostalgia pandering, mainly due to how it got all Warner Brothers IPs to basically fill seats. At least this movie has a reason to have other cartoon characters. This is a world where toons and humans coexist. I'd be more surprised if I didn't see cartoon characters from other properties besides Chip and Dale. And the characters who do appear for more than a cameo have a reason besides the reference. Loomer helps Chip and Dale escape a new toon. Bob from Monsters vs. Aliens and the Praying Mantis from Kung Fu Panda appear with 2019 Pumbaa because all voiced by Seth Rogen as a joke. Not nostalgia pandering, but because of a joke. And also, Who from Roger Rabbit also had a bunch of toons from different companies. Should we call that nostalgia pandering? I just don't see why we should shut down any movie and call it nostalgia pandering for having classic toons, and just be like, oh, they're only there for a reference, it makes the movie bad. In my opinion, as long as the characters are used well, and are not there purely for a reference and have a reason to exist, then it's okay and not nostalgia pandering. But yeah, that's all my really pros that I have. On to the cons. Now, this movie's not perfect. The humor falls flat most of the time, which is kinda bad when a movie like this tries to be funny. One of the things that the movie loves doing is making fun of a movie trope, but then they do it anyway. Like Chip saying how he hates it when a classic cartoon character raps, but then later on in the movie he raps. Or how the twist film pretends to have a sad backstory, and then he goes, "No, I'm just doing it for the money." Just because you're acknowledging it doesn't make it funny or good. Another problem is the movie's pacing. The movie just goes a bit too fast. We start with the flashback, then the modern day, and then the mystery's kicked off, and then the movie just rushes through all the scenes. It's just like, they don't really have time to really take it slow. And the scenes that they do take it slow are few and far between. And also probably the best scenes in the movie, to be honest. Also, as much as I defended the references, some are just really odd and just confusing. You have the mainstays like the Looney Tunes and the occasional Disney reference like Doc McStuffins or Scrooge McDuck. But then you have the Viacom characters, like Beavis and Butthead, Peppa Pig, Ren and Stimpy, Jimmy Neutron's hair. Garfield, wait, he's a Viacom character? Is that South Park? And then for the Warner Bros. Characters, you have Gumball and Pickle Rick. I'm not joking. And then you have the weird ones like He-Man and freaking Big Mouth, Jesus Christ. That's right, guys. Pickle Rick, Randy from South Park, He-Man, and My Little Pony are all canon to Disney, and there's nothing that you can do to stop it. What is going on? Oh, so like I said before, the animation mainly on the 2.5D characters look really bad, and them being integrated to the real world wasn't the best. I swear, some characters are just humans and they just drew over their heads in hand. Another problem is how Chip and Dale have no personality or are not really connected to the story that much. You could replace them with any other character from any other Disney afternoon show, and the plot would be unchanged. In fact, this movie has literally nothing to do with the original Rescue Rangers show, which some critics praise since you don't need to watch the original to understand what's going on. But I can see how the diehard Rescue Ranger fans would be a little pissed off that their movie is nothing like the source material. Wow, a movie that isn't like its source material and has nothing to do with the characters? I feel like I've seen this before. And yeah, it's all my cons really. You expected this list to be longer? Yeah, me too actually. So, overall, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2022 was not bad. The movie, while not perfect, was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Besides the horrible treatment of 2D animation with this stupid 2.5D, the movie was still kinda good. I would give it a 7 out of 10. Was there anything that I forgot to mention in this episode? Oh yeah!